Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Dania Brown. I am back with another informative video about laboratory things. This is one of my videos in my little series that I'm doing. This is for phlebotomist, clinical assistant, laboratory techs, whoever works in a lab. This is important information that you should or would like to know. So if you're interested in knowing what I'm about to talk about in this video, then stay tuned.
Savage bitch, in your trap and take over. Name another bitch that's colder. I just bought a brand new Rover. I don't even drive no more, I got a chauffeur. Took off, man, they asking me to slow up. Getting wiser and my money getting older. Now that bitch, I ain't even gon' hold it. Now that bitch, and I thought that it told it.
Okay, so in this video, we are going to be talking about labeling of the tubes. What does it mean when it says certain things and things like that? So this video is strictly on labeling of the tubes, okay? So if that's not good enough for you, then you can go click on one of my other videos that I have about medical field, clinical laboratory assistant, dialysis, phlebotomist, whichever you would prefer. But this video here is strictly on labeling. So I'm gonna have some screenshots on this side of the screen just to show you guys exactly what I'm talking about. So first we're going to start off with labels. Labeling specimens is very important when it comes to blood specimens, urine specimens, blood cultures, swab cultures, COVID swabs, and other swabs, body parts. Anything that comes into the lab has to have a label. So the label will include the name, the medical record number, date of birth, gender, and age. So it should have all 5 of these things on the label. The label also has test information. It has the test name, collection requirements, and collection type. So as you see on this label, it has test name, lactic acid, collection requirements, gray top, collection type, blood, because it could be blood, it could be urine, it could be a swab, and then the collection requirements could be a blue top, it could be a red top, green top. So it tells you which tube it's supposed to be in, just in case there's a lot of nurses that miss tube and label specimens. So if you don't get the right tube, you have to deny that specimen. Labels also include specially handling instructions like deliver on ice immediately. Some specimens only can be room temperature because within the lab we do put a lot of our specimens in the fridge to preserve them. Within a week we throw them away. So some of those specimens are not supposed to be in the refrigerator at all for certain tests. So it will have room temperature or immediately on ice. Like once we receive the specimen, we have to put it immediately on ice, or it's not going to go right when analyzing the test or specimen. But special handling instructions may not be included on the label on every specimen. So you have to figure out, eventually you will learn after being in the position for a while, you will learn which specimens have to be room temperature, which specimens has to be in a refrigerator, and which doesn't. What test is being performed? This is a little quiz. Again, the labels hold the answer to the question. So the first one is ProTime INR. That's a blue top. The next one is light green CMP. And the third one is CBC with diff. That's a lavender top. So you have to make sure when you're sorting out the tubes or specimens, urine, you have to make sure you pay attention to what is being performed, what type of test. Because what type of test lets you know which department to put it in. For example, CMP will go on this machine called the 8100. CBC with diff will also go with on this machine called the 8100. Stuff like your analysis will go to UA. Cultures, urine cultures will go to micro. COVID-19 swabs will go to molecular. HIV will go to TOPS. Drug screens will go to chemistry. So you have to know what test exactly is being performed. So you have to make sure you looked at those labels, along with which color tube, along with what the specimen is supposed to come in. Green top, blue top, blood cultures, a swab. You want to make sure you pay attention to that. Always read the labels. Blue tops are generally centrifuge prior to testing, but as you can see, the blue top for a PFA 100 specifies do not separate, which means the specimen should not be centrifuged. So you want to make sure that you also, everything on the label is important. You have to pay attention to the name, the MRN number, the birthday, the age, sometimes even the gender. You have to make sure you have the right tube, what test is it, and the special instructions. Like this one says, do not spin, hand deliver, stat. That means we have to get these results ASAP. So you want to make sure you look at every single part of the label, the whole label. Nothing is unimportant on this label. So you have to make sure that you pay attention to the whole entire label. This is the accession number. The accession number is a unique computer generated number that identifies a specific person. So this one right here, this number is, like I said, this number is made for each person. Now, what I'm gonna be talking about in my next video is receiving and ordering. When you're ordering, you have to make sure that this number, you do not mix up the numbers. You have to make sure that the numbers are correct. Make sure that each number is accurate. That's why I said this job, you have to pay very close attention. So when verifying these or receiving these specimens, you want to look at everything, including the MRN number. So as you guys can see, the first 2 digits of the accession number represents the last 2 digits of the year the specimen was created. In this case, 19 represents 2019. So this is how you know what year a specimen is done, just in case you guys have to look something up, which you shouldn't have, but this is just in case. So all the numbers and all the specimens won't get mixed up when dealing with a certain person. SN represents the performing lab. In this case, I'm gonna change this one. I'm gonna change the letters because it has the letters of where I work. So DB represents the performing lab, in this case, Denia Lab. If the specimens were collected at a community site, the specimen would need to be transported to Denia Lab for testing. The 2 letters represents the performing lab, and the accession number also correlates to the performing lab shown directly below the specimen requirements. So as you guys can see near the year of the specimen, it also tells you where it's supposed to be at. So if y'all accidentally get a specimen, sometimes the lab that it was supposed to go to don't run that certain test, so they will send it to you, but you have to call to make sure, hey, we got a specimen, was it supposed to be here, or was there a mix-up? The day of the year the specimen was created, in this case, the specimen was originally created on the 80th day of 2019. This part really isn't that important, but you still want to pay attention to the accession number to make sure the accession number matches the patient. The department within the performing lab that will actually perform the test, in this case, the V means molecular. This molecular will perform this test at Denia's lab. So if it was a C, it will go to chemistry. If it was a V, like it says, it's molecular. If it's an M, it's micro. If it's a U, it's urinalysis. If it's F, it goes to flow. If it's a T, it's send out. If it's a Y, it's send out. If it's L, it's lab core. There's different letters that you have to learn, and you will learn them as you see different specimens and different tests every day. It will just start to come to you like that. The 0002 is a sequentially generated number by the system. It is a count of the number of specimens created for a given department on any given day. Like I said, this part isn't really important to know, but you just want to make sure that the accession number matches the patient's name. Point 2 refers to the number of containers tube required for an ordered test. This test requires that 2 pink top tubes should be drawn by the collector to ensure that there's adequate specimens for testing. This is very important because you do not want to scan, order, or receive tests and you don't have all the specimens. Sometimes they like to send the specimen in separate bags. They'll send a specimen in one bag and then in the next bucket, the second specimen is there. So you want to make sure that you have all the specimens with the point, whatever, just to make sure that all their tests will be done around the same time. Store refrigerated, room temperature, or frozen. Like I said, you have to pay attention to the special directions. In addition to providing collection information, the label may also provide the processor with instructions on how to store a sample. That will be sent to another facility for testing prior to placing on a packaging list. Like the first one says, this is a 6-HBG SST gel. It's supposed to go to LabCorp, but you have to refrigerate it. So you have to refrigerate it and LabCorp will pick it up out of the refrigerator. The second one says a fructosamine SST gel. It's supposed to be stored at room temperature, which they will also have a bucket. This one says laboratory as well. They will have their own bucket outside of the refrigerator that they will come and pick up the test. And this one says this is laboratory, a pink top, and it says on ice, freeze. So you want to make sure once you get the specimen, you put it right on ice right after you receive it. This is a little test for you guys. I'm gonna leave it here in front of me and I will give you guys the answer on the next slide. So take your time, but just kind of quiz yourself. I'm gonna change it up a little bit just in case this is an actual person. I'm gonna change it up to my information, kind of, sort of. Okay, so now we're going to talk about print quality of labels. Labels are really important. So you guys might find this video very, very boring, but it's very important, okay? So analyzers are unable to read barcodes or poor quality print quality of labels. You want to make sure that labels aren't too dark. You want to make sure that the labels aren't too light, because you don't want to have to do all the work. Yes, you're receiving and you're ordering, but the machine does most of the work. So if you can't help the machine cannot help you. So you want to make sure that if you see any specimens that are too dark or too light, that you reprint the specimen labels. Label placement. You want to make sure that the label placement, it doesn't have to be perfect, but it has to be straight. The first one is completely wrong. The machine will not be able to scan this specimen because it has to be long ways. Like, how is it going to scan like that? And first, it's going to get caught because it's hanging on the side like that. The second one is definitely not going to read because it's twisted. The machine reads the barcode. So for it to read the barcode has to be straight and it has to be on a good amount on the tube. The second one is too low. You can tell that it's too low because it's hanging at the bottom, which will snag. So you want to make sure that it's up enough to where it's not hanging on the bottom for the machine, for it to snag on the machine. Because once it snags on the machine, if any specimen snags on the machine can malfunction and shut down, and then that's more work that you have to do during the day. So you want to make sure it's not too low to where the bottom of the paper is snagging. You want to make sure it's not twisted sideways, not too light and not too dark. Wrinkled labels. What we do with wrinkled labels at where I work at, we rip them off. We rip it off. We rip most of the label off, but we keep the part of the name. So we rip the label off, we reprint it and put it up there. Torn labels, the machine is not going to be able to scan that, so we just reprint and stick it back up there how it's supposed to be. Folded, nurses send tubes with 2 labels folded. What we do is we'll get it, we'll separate them, and we'll put labels, 1 label on each one. Separating means we'll spin it if it's in the SST, and we'll get that plasma and we'll separate it into 2 tubes, and then we'll label them for both of the tests, like one test and another test, and then we'll send it through the machine. And then the extra blood at the bottom we'll put in our extras box, which will also be scanned and put in the refrigerator. You want to make sure there's no writing on the barcode or near the barcode, because the machine is very, very, very sensitive. So all the extra writing should be done on the requisition. The extra writing should not be done on the label. The reprint and relabel. Analyzers must have white space above and below the barcode in order to read correctly. Writing at the end of the barcode messes up the analyzer's ability to read the barcode. Putting it into perspective. Once the specimens are labeled in an analyzer rack, the red line represents the analyzer barcode reader. It's easier to see which ones the analyzer will reject. That's why you don't twist it. That's why it's not supposed to be too low. That's why it's not supposed to be sideways. It has to be just right. The entire barcode is invisible to the analyzer when placed sideways. That's the first one. The second one, the writing at the end of the barcode messes up the analyzer's ability to know where the barcode ends. 3, the entire barcode is invisible when the label is placed too low. 4, when twisted, the specimen ID messes up the analyzer's ability to know where the barcode ends. 5 is perfect. The entire barcode is visible, and the white spaces at each end allow the reader to know where the barcode begins and ends. So that's all I have on labeling tubes. I hope you guys liked the video. I hope you guys found it helpful, because I'm really trying to share with you guys what I've learned and how I've learned it and how it's helping me. So labeling may not seem that important, but labeling is very important in the medical field. It tells you the patient, the birthday, and everything. And of course, on the floor, when you label it, you have to verify by their wristband. But in the lab, we verify the patient by its requisition, which is the patient's paperwork, and we make sure that this is right, this is what they're supposed to be testing for, and everything like that. This is what the doctor wants, this is what the doctor orders. So we have to pay attention to the barcode just like others, nurses, doctors, everybody else have to pay attention to the label. We have to pay attention to the label as well. So I hope you guys found this helpful. Don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe. I'll be doing more of these helpful videos. I'll be posting once a week, if not more than once a week. We're coming back with these, you guys. So I hope you guys are enjoying the video and the content, just like I'm enjoying editing, recording, and putting them out for you. So if you guys have any more suggestions on laboratory assistant, clinical lab assistant, lab processing, phlebotomist, dialysis, just let me know and I will try to help you down in the comment section or in a video. So y'all keep your mask on, stay safe, stay cautious, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.